and I know Ken Finneman was out in race 1 as well. Well, we'll see who will come out for this second race.
Yeah, but all sorts of drama out there. It started off with Fabio Tafani spinning it off in the exit of Fostron corner, and then Ken Finneman having trouble of his own in turn number 4 in Saddle Sweep. And but gee whiz, we had all sorts of action and drama going on the whole day. A couple of red flags, or one red flag in the bike race, and then in GTI Challenge. So we've had it all out there today, and we now move on to the second race of the Pirelli V8 Masters. And after the issue that involved Fabio Tafani, it was a runaway victory for Sean Moore. Nobody was going to catch Sean Moore. And then Menno Parsons was also involved in a huge fight there with Gary Thompson in that mid-pack. And it was Thompson that eventually got his nose ahead of our pilot, of Menno Parsons, in that fight between the two of them. And then there was a lovely fight between Barry Ingle, Alistair Brown, and Roy Campos. And as they worked their way out of turn 1, it was Campos that spun off the circuit and had to rejoin and fight his way back. So a bit of a recap for what happened out there in the opening race of the Pirelli-sponsored V8 Masters, as Gaza, they line up here for the second race.
Well, I hope it takes a bit of time for them to get off the line, because I'm here in the 5th floor, but my lungs are still on the 3rd floor. But yeah, race number 1, Pirelli V8 Masters, was a brilliant session. And that one-on-one up front between Fabio Tafani and Sean Moore, that was something else. Now, Fabio Tafani has cried king in this class for an extended period of time as they come off the line on their warm-up lap. But Fabio Tafani definitely does not have it his own way right now with the likes of Sean Moore out there. Is Tafani out there?
Yeah, stone last, as a matter of
Wow.
fact. He's on the inside of the last row of the grid. Is Tafani, as he works his way into turn 1 now. So he's got a massive mountain to climb to try and catch up to the front end with Sean Moore.
Oh, Sean Moore at the front. The gates of heaven will just open up for him. It won't be too much of a hassle. I don't see Rui Campos. Oh, there's Rui Campos there. He's down in 8th position. That would be his second biggest rival. Alistair Brown directly behind is Sean Moore on the second of the grid with Gary Thompson, the first of the silver cars alongside that. Mark Voggett that came second to Gary Thompson, with Dennis Geduk third. That is 4th, 5th and 6th as they stand on the grid. So Barry Ingle, I think this is his opportunity to shine today. He's going to have to get out there as quick as he can, try and hang into the back end of Sean Moore, try and pick up a bit of a toe from Sean Moore, and then weather the storm when the likes of possibly Rui Campos. Can Fabio Tafani come off the back of the pack all the way to the front? I don't think so. I can't see him catching up to Sean Moore. Can he get to Barry Ingle? Well, it's for Barry Ingle to take or to give it away.
So the Master Drive V8 Ford Mustang working its way down the back main. That's a safety car. And then in there behind him are these Ford Mustangs, APV Ford Mustangs, V8s working their way down the back straight. And the man that will set the pace for them, he's the man in car number 1 that sits in P1, the defending 2022 champion, Sean Moore, that is in there behind that safety car with a whole bunch of V8s working their way into Fostron corner.
3 gold class cars, 3 silver class cars. That is the front 6 as they work their way around. All APV 34 IS versions. Pretty much exactly the same as they started with this class, the way they are now. Going along very well. Good looking field. Look at that. 12 cars coming up towards us. Fabio Tafani coming off the back of the pack. Keep an eye on Sean Moore and Barry Ingle. It's up to Barry Ingle what he's going to do with this one. They're all behind him right now. Can he keep them all behind him? Going down to turn number 1. Oh, Ingle wants to have a look around the outside. Oh, Sean Moore. Serious lock up on the third. I think that was Alistair that locked up as they went down into turn number 1.
Couple of cars locking up there. Everybody coming out okay as they work their way towards turn 2.
Oh, spinner.
Yeah, we've got a spinner stuck there in the dirt. We'll get the binoculars on him and have a look and see who that is. But I'll tell you now that it is Sean Moore that's starting to run and run hard there, with the 53 car of Barry Ingle in that second position. And Barry losing a little bit of ground as they work their way out of Interceptor corner. Then we've got Alistair Brown that sits there in that third position. That's the first 3 cars working their way through Sidle Sweep.
Yep, as they came off the line, Gary Thompson, Mark Voggett and Dennis Geduk. A lovely camera shot as they come out into the back main. A Smile 90.4 and a Wingfield Motors. Big thanks to them for making our racing possible here today. Down into Pertamina Fastron, Cape Town corner. It's all about Sean Moore that started in pole position in heat number 1, ended in number 1, started in pole position, heat number 2, leads them out towards the city of Cape Town and Wingfield Motors Bridge.
Well, the car that went off there was the 17 of Gary Thompson. He's back up and running again, but he's stoned last, working his way towards turn 5 Fastron as the leaders are heading out of turn number 1. That whole leading group of V8s are making their way out of turn number 1 up the Tigerberg Straight now to try and catch Sean Moore. The only other man that maybe can sits there in 5th position. He's coming through the field. He's just ahead of Dennis Gaiduk. That's Fabio Tafani. And he's not, as they work their way out of turn 2, too far behind the Campos transport car of Roy Campos as they head towards Interceptor turn 3.
Fabio Tafani is making use of the fact that Barry Ingle has realized, okay, I can't run with Sean Moore, but I can keep them racked, packed and stacked behind him. Keeping in mind, Alistair Brown, Rui Campos, Dennis Geduk, when they came across the line, that's all silver class cars. But he's doing a lovely job. Is Barry Ingle. Oh, look at that. Fabio Tafani. What was his last lap time? It must have been very quick. Fabio Tafani, 1:24.174. That's his total time. We'll see when they come through what is his lap time on this lap while he's passing cars.
Yeah, it'll count now when they cross the start-finish line. Under the Wingfield Motors and City of Cape Town Bridge comes Sean Moore to start another lap. But it is going to be difficult. Barry Ingle is in that second position. He's been hassled there by Alistair Brown, and he's been hassled there by Roy Campos, and for that matter, Fabio Tafani as well. The 4 of them are exiting turn number 1. Dennis Gaiduk is the next man out there. Right behind him is Menno Parsons, as we keep an eye on 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th. That's working their way into turn 2 through Quarry Corner.
There's no doubt that order is going to change before they come past us again. The fastest man out there was in fact Sean Moore, a 1:16.265. The second fastest man, as expected, Fabio Tafani, a 16.551, and that quicker than the 79, the 75 and the 74 of Rui Campos, who now looks in the mirror and he sees Fabio Tafani. He's all over his back bumper.
While Sean Moore is the quickest man so far in Sector 1, let's have a look and see if he's quicker in Sector 2. We'll pick it up now. He is... Wait for this to clear. No, he's not the quickest in Sector 2. He's only got a very quick Sector 1 as they work out of a turn number 5. Oh, look at this fight. Look at Tafani. Fabio Tafani is back in business again.
Somebody's gone off.
As he comes through, have a look. See, it's not 2nd, 3rd, 4th or 5th. That's for sure. It's still Ingle from Brown, Tafani and Campos. Where is Dennis Gaiduk?
I think it's Geduk. It might have gone off.
Yes, it is Dennis Gaiduk, because here comes Menno Parsons into turn 1, and Dennis Gaiduk was right there with him.
I think the best thing for Sean Moore was in fact to up dust and disappear. Fabio Tafani past Rui Campos, now up in there behind Alistair Brown, having a look around the outside. Alistair Brown's got pressure. He says, Ingle, you got to go, son. I got Fabio Tafani behind me. It's now or never.
Well, it's a massive fight for 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th, working their way now through Interceptor corner. Race leader Sean Moore is so far down the road, I don't think they're going to catch him. He's working down the back straight already. He's your leader, car number 1 in P1, Sean Moore. And here comes this war behind him. Barry Ingle, Alistair Brown, Roy Campos, Fabio Tafani, all of them racing down the back main, trying to catch up to race leader Sean Moore, that's working his way out of Fastron.
Somewhere something went wrong for Tafani, because Tafani was ahead of Rui Campos. Campos is now back in front of Fabio Tafani. In fact, he's all over the back end of Alistair Brown. Sean Moore goes through. Barry Ingle, as we said, at the top end of this race with 4 to go. It's for him to win or lose, and so far he's winning out. Yes, you're not going to be able to sit with the front man Sean Moore, but to hold out the likes of Alistair Brown and Rui Campos and the recovering Fabio Tafani, Tafani back onto the back end of that second, third, fourth and fifth train up the Joubert Straight towards turn number 2.
That is that fight for 2, 3, 4 and 5, and here comes Fabio Tafani once again. He'll try and find his way around the Campos Transport outfit of Roy Campos. Just ahead of him is Alistair Brown. Ahead of Alistair Brown is a 53 being driven by Barry Ingle. Normally we find Mark Ridgway behind the wheel of that car, but it's Barry Ingle that's campaigning that car today as they work their way through turn 4, sidle sweep.
Sean Moore eventually gets himself a distance away from everybody else, probably closing on 6 seconds. No, I think it's even more than that. Visually, it looks like more than 6 seconds. Last time around was 5.09. Alistair Brown up on the inside of Ingle. That's the first time he's really had a look. Can he make it stick? I don't think so. Ingle is getting it all right out of the King that come up towards the bus stop. Ingle's still in that second position. He started in second. He is still there. I think he'll be having the race of his life right now as they work down towards turn number 1. Fabio Tafani doesn't have an answer for these 3.
Well, he's having a look up on the inside there, but does not make the move stick there on Roy Campos. All on his own is Menno Parsons, but here comes another fight down towards us. And that one has been led there by Ken Finneman. Right there with him is Mark Vogt, and Stuart Spooner is also in that fight together with Brendan Dean, the new man, as that foursome is now working its way through turn number 3.
With one change up, it's Rui Campos at the back. It is then Fabio Tafani behind Alistair Brown, and that behind Barry Ingle. All of them playing second fiddle to the main man of the day. A brilliant performance so far. All things being equal, it'll be a doubleheader for Sean Moore.
So down the back main goes this fight for 2, 3, 4 and 5 as Sean Moore all on his own working his way out of turn 5, out of Fostron, and there's nobody as he comes towards us to challenge him. That fight for second and third is working its way out of Fostron corner. He can lift right off. He's done a 116.265, Sean Moore. But here comes Barry Ingle, Alistair Brown, Fabio Tafani, Roy Campos, right on each other's heels. And now having a dive up on the inside, it is Tafani that makes the move stick there on Alistair Brown.
We've got the 77 car in turn 4, Brandon Dean, that's gone off. It's out of sight of us, picked up by the radio man. So Brandon Dean off the circuit. We'll see probably over full waved yellows going down into that corner. We will see. Sean Moore will be the first man to enter into that area. Don't see any waved yellows notably from the commentary area, so maybe the car is far enough away from the circuit.
Oh, we've got a car off on the exit of turn 1, and that is back on again, and that is Ken Finneman. Yes, it's the 44 that's lost ground. That car's busy falling apart as he works his way out of turn number 2. Ahead of him, we've got Stuart Spooner, and ahead of Spooner, we've got Mark Vogt as they head into turn number 3, Interceptor. But that fight for second, third, fourth, and fifth is working its way now through turn 5, and off the circuit goes Tafani.
Tafani was up from fifth to fourth, up to third, was having a look at that second place, got the tail end turned around second time in 2 races that he goes off in turn number 5. Barry Ingle still leading out from Alistair Brown. Rui Campos up now ahead of Fabio Tafani. Probably Menno Parsons is going to be the next man out on circuit to come through.
Yeah, Menno Parsons, remember they're slowing right down. They've got yellow flags. There's no overtaking in that sector as they work their way out of 5. Here comes Menno Parsons, but he's been caught. Menno Parsons has been caught, and he's been caught here by Mark Vogt. So Parsons is in trouble as he has been caught racing down into turn number 1, and Parsons is just holding on for now as they work their way through turn 1 out of Holzhoek.
Still very, very close, but they are on the last lap of 8 Pirelli V8 Masters race number 2. Sean Moore, pole position to a win. Race number 1, race number 2, pole position, and he's got one more corner and half a straight to go, and he will consummate that into 2 pole positions, 2 victories. Barry Ingle, probably his best race to date as he works his way through.
So the leader comes towards a checkered flag, and it is going to be Sean Moore that comes home in P1. He's done enough to win this one, and the fight is still on here. It's going to be Barry Ingle coming home in second, and here we come to the line. It's side by side, it's side by side. It's going to be Alistair Brown that just gets to the flag ahead of Roy Campos.
Wow, that was super duper close. Well, the next battle coming down now towards turn number 5. It's going to be all systems go. Menno Parsons, Mark Voggett, and Stuart Spooner. That's the next 3 that's going to be coming through turn number 5. They go. Lovely camera shot of that. The first 4 is across the line. Menno Parsons, the last of the gold class cars, and then Mark Voggett at the front of the silver class.
Well, Menno Parsons is going to hold, he's going to hold, he's going to hold, and right behind Parsons, it is Stuart Spooner that gets to the flag just ahead there of Mark Voggett. A 1/10 of a second between Spooner and Voggett, and right behind them is Ken Finneman.
Couldn't wait any longer. I mean, you spend the whole race behind the fellow, and in the last 10 car lengths, you decide, okay, now's the time, stick the nose ahead, and that's the way it turned out. So, Sean Moore, 2 victories for the day. Barry Ingle coming through second, with Alistair Brown in third from Rui Campos and Menno Parsons. The silver class, Stuart Spooner, pips on the line. Mark Voggett from Ken Finneran. And then Fabio Tufani, spin in race number 1, ended last. Spin in race number 2, both in Cape Town corner. Put him in a Fastron, and comes through at the tail end of the pack.
Yeah, Tufani still stuck out there with Dennis Gaidik, so a DNF there for Tufani. And then Brandon Dean having trouble out in turn 4, and Dennis Gaidik, the other driver, in turn 5 Fastron there with Tufani. And then Gary Thompson didn't finish, but he had a problem out on the circuit as well, and right in the opening laps rejoined, but didn't complete the lap. So that is Pirelli V8 Masters race number 2.
Yeah, it was in fact Gary Thompson that went out on the exit of turn number 4, unsighted to us. But we did see a camera shot that we could pick that up, that he was up against the tyre barrier on the outside of turn number 4. So, Pirelli, a big thanks for their sponsor, Pirelli V8 Masters. Brilliant racing, and well, the numbers have varied continuously through the history of V8 Masters, but still looking very strong and giving us some lovely racing to watch. Sean Moore, the fastest lap, a 1:16.265. If you consider that a 1:21.5 is the fastest that you can go in Clubman's, you can realize how quick these guys are going around the circuit.